Great, great. Thanks a lot. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. And for a bit of delay out here, we were facing some technical difficulties. So, with that being said, I would like to quickly welcome everyone and just give a bit of a background in terms of who we are, what we do, and what exactly we have been doing since past couple of months. So, we at Fintech OI we have been setting up a couple of touch points. We started towards the first week of May with a larger vision of connect, collaborate, and converge, where we want to bring together the whole ecosystem of fintech under one roof, where the whole idea is how can we accelerate the whole fintech ecosystem within India as a country. And with that being said, we have been setting up a couple of sessions, a couple of demo days, amazing, interesting knowledge sessions like this one. We have at least engaged with 500 plus different attendees in the past couple of months. So, with that being said, I would like to not spend much time just giving a bit of a background. I'll like to hand over my mic to Puneet Sharma. Puneet Sharma is EIR at Startup Reseau, and he would like to welcome. He can welcome all the panelists out here. Before that, please do send out all your questions in the chat box below, and click in the link in the on the chat box to stay updated with all the further activities of FinTech OI. Thanks. Over to you, Puneet.
Thank you, Sumit. Thank you. I'd like to welcome everyone and especially the panelists. So today, for the API economy discussion, we have Rajat Deshpande. Rajat is the founder of FinBox. We have Vaibhav, Garg from Open, and then Veeraj Thaploo from Blazeclan. Welcome, guys, and thank you for your time. So I'll give a bit context on where this subject came into picture and why we picked this up. So thing was in last 2 months, what has happened is three of my friends employed at banks. So although they were looking at the business side of they're looking at the business side and the projects, but everyone has to now deal with APIs some or the other way. And then they came to me asking, bro, APIs hai, like I don't understand it completely. It is like our developers link with multiple systems, but they didn't get it. So I thought APIs and its usage has been increasing everywhere. So and me also, to them I explained. So how, my version of what an API is was that APIs are like a language, or I would say it's English. It's a mode of communication, the way we communicate. So APIs are English for systems, how systems talk to each other. And when systems talk to each other, things get automated. But then I also didn't have much context, so I also wanted to dive deeper into it. Hence, we kept this topic and invited you guys. So first, we'll start with introduction. So Vaibhav, how about you start introducing what you guys do, about a bit about Open, and also how APIs play a role in your current business.
Sure. So hi everyone. So at Open, we are an integrated business banking platform. What that means is we have put together, for a small business, we have put together a bank account, accounting system, cards, related expense, taxation, all at one place. And the reason to do that is, because all of these disparate systems need to talk to each other. As a business, you would want to collect payments, and that happens in your bank account, but that data has to flow back to your accounting system. And right now, our disparate systems don't talk to each other. So we have put all of them together at one place. So a million plus SMEs are using this integrated platform. We've also started another initiative called Switch, wherein we are exposing some of the infrastructure that we have created at our end for other businesses to consume. So, at Switch, we are an API first, entity. So essentially, you can, if you would want to say open a new bank account, or if you would want to link an existing bank account within your platform, you should be able to do that. If you want to automate money movement, from your end to a beneficiary, you should be able to do that from within your platform, versus having to go out to another platform to do that. Or if you want to collect payments, you would want to reconcile it as well. So that also happens in a seamless fashion. So essentially, every aspect of money movement, whether it is storing money or paying in money or paying out money, attributing that, or providing tools. Spends tools can be in the form of UPI or cards. So we power all of that through easy to use APIs. And um, you know it's very hard to do that if you have to go directly to a financial institution. We have abstracted out the complexity and made it very easy for any developer or any business that wants to include different parts of money movement within their infrastructure. So this is what we do.
Okay. So you've merged banking and accounting together.
Correct. As part of our integrated platform, that is what we did. Yeah, we have brought all of these disparate systems at one place.
Awesome. So we have Rajat. Rajat, you want to come in and like what FinBox does?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, guys, for having me, and thanks, Vaibhav, for the intro. So FinBox is an embedded finance platform which enables any digital app, any digital asset website, or an Android app to embed financial services such as buy now, pay later credit lines for checkout financing, or term loans such as personal loans or business loans in 6 lines of code. And it brings together everything that is needed to successfully run a credits business, which is essentially a compliant loan application journey, a credit underwriting stack, entire loan lifecycle management, as well as lenders that really trust these credit models to actually originate loans on your platform. We enable building very, very native embedded experiences inside the apps that are our customers. So the platforms can launch credit as a feature for various use cases very, very seamlessly. And we take care of everything, which is onboarding, underwriting, bringing in the money, dispersal, loan life cycle, everything through our API platform, and it does a lot of stuff. And I think really a great sort of platform for us to talk about what APIs can do, and what is the power of communication between systems. So thank you guys for having me.
So yours is a classic third-party API-driven business.
That's correct. We have a lot of APIs, and actually we integrate so deeply into other systems that we are able to really communicate very, very effectively through other people's marketing channels to the borrowers. So it is us who, with our systems, generating those messages, but people are seeing those messages as if they are being originated by the platforms that we are integrated into. So it's fairly deep the way we work.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And we also have Veeraj. You built Blazeclan on top of AWS.
Yeah, I think again it's an API journey, I'll say. Thanks for having me. Thanks, Rajat. Thanks, Vaibhav. Guys, Blazeclan is more about, I'll quickly tell about Blazeclan, what we do. We're more about an organization which help people build platforms on top of cloud. But cloud itself is a set of APIs. So we are people who actually jargon between APIs and how they communicate with each other. And we also help organizations scale it to the next level, because when it comes to building APIs, it's simple as, okay, wonderful. But when it comes to scaling them for millions of users, right? That's when the challenge starts, and the performance and all those things and nitty-gritties and managing API sets when you actually are a mesh, right? They're called mesh APIs, right? When you're a mesh, actually it is difficult to actually see what APIs you can deprecate and all that. So wonderful things and a lot of tech things which happen beyond the business. Vaibhav and Rajat are simplifying it for businesses, and making it very, very simple for businesses to adopt it and use it. I think we do the plumbing behind it to make sure that it is as simple as you want it.
Okay. So the subject definitely it appears very important. We'll explore why it is important, right? So I understand like with Rajat's example of let's say with FinBox, if I am building an app and I also want to start lending or I want to give credit to my customers, I can ride onto, I mean, like the entire credit life cycle, or I would say the entire banking part is taken care by your company.
That's correct.
As you mentioned, the entire expertise and experience of your company for me is just 6 lines of code.
That's correct.
And so what all happens in the happens in the background, like how you started, I mean, how you started on to building FinBox, wherein you just thought of API driven business.
Absolutely. I think that's a brilliant question. So Puneet, very quickly, I'll give you a quick download of how we started. So we've been an API first company. Our first product was called Device Connect, and which is essentially an API for credit scoring borrowers using the data that is already on their device, right? So it's a machine learning based system which exposes, a very, very complex data pipeline and a credit scoring mechanism via a simple API call. It's just one API call, which gives you, as a borrower, if you're not on the bureau, it gives you a credit score, which a lot of our lenders are using to essentially provide you credit, which you wouldn't have gotten as a borrower because you're not on the bureau. Right? It's called alternative data-based underwriting. It's a purely API-based product. We do it on an anonymized basis. The lender hits our API using an anonymous ID, and then we provide a credit score and certain parameters that they then use in real time to assess a borrower, right? So that's our first product. It's an API product. It is a core part of the lender's sort of loan application process, but they've outsourced this humongous engineering task of building the data pipeline, building the machine learning framework, the platform, building the credit scoring models, and actually calculating it in real time within 5 seconds. And they can pull that out from our system, right? So if the lenders had to do this, it's like at least a very specialized team, 2-year gestation period, getting it stable, various kinds of teams working on it. So it's super difficult for anybody to do it themselves. As it creates a lot of value. At least 50% of the borrowers are new to credit, so you can underwrite them. And a lender starting today has to just subscribe to us, integrate our API, and off they go, right? So that is the power of APIs, right? So the first sort of thing that we built was Device Connect, which is this machine learning based API that we sort of give out as a microservice to a lot of our digital lenders. And the second product is again similar. It works off of bank statements. So you can upload a bank statement via API, get out all the information on credit related parameters, income, etc., for assessing a borrower, and you can get it out via an API. Very, very simple. Again, creates a lot of value in the loan application process. The third piece that we sort of built is an entire sort of transaction system on top of our credit assessment piece, which is essentially everything. So basically a loan journey, which is again exposed via an API, right? So you basically, as a platform, call an API, you get a ready-made loan journey. You can sort of, the borrower is exposed to it. And basically once he goes through everything internally, he calls a set of APIs for each of the things that is required to build, provide a loan. And it is done all internally through our own API platform, and all the customizations on the loan journey, right? So if it's a business, they want to pre-fill Aadhaar, they want to pre-fill GST, etc., KYC documents. That's all APIs that we have provided, right, into the system. So APIs help you customize an offering as well, right, according to what you really want and according to how it's designed. And that sort of enables really effective use cases. It standardizes it and makes it easy for anybody to launch this. Typically launching lending is a 3-year sort of gestation period project. If you do it via APIs, an API platform which is already competent, works efficiently, that compresses to 3 weeks, right? So you can go live 3 weeks, off you go doing loans, right? So yeah, that's the power.
And your product is actually an API.
It is an API platform. It's a bunch of APIs to do various things, to sort of expose these functionalities to the borrower or to customize the functionality as well.
Okay. So Vaibhav, I'll come to you. So you actually have a SaaS product or a software product that your users are using, and you mentioned you merged banking and accounting, so you don't have like two different set of products. Now you also mentioned that you have opened up an API platform.
Yeah.
So why is that important to your business, or why are you opening it up, and what use cases do you see here?
Sure. So basically, the SaaS offering that you were mentioning, it's a direct to small business offering. It is directly catering to the end consumer, which is a small business, and they can, automate their business finances. They can manage their business banking in a much more effective manner. What APIs, help in doing is empowering other businesses. If say for example, you are a business that has an aggregation of lot of small businesses, you can be a SME marketplace, you can be a SaaS provider to a lot of small businesses. You can be also on the consumer side, and you may want to provide some of these financial services to your end consumer, right? You would want to keep the experience native to your platform, to your product. You would want to seamlessly embed these financial services in the journey of your product, as Rajat was describing about lending, right? So that is where APIs come into picture. You don't want an off the shelf product. How would you integrate it with your system, right? You would want APIs, so that you can use that APIs to make certain requests and get responses in return, right? You would want that to be seamless within your journey. So that is what why we did that, so that we are able to empower other businesses, make it easy for them to embed various financial services. And as Rajat described, it is not a cakewalk to embed different financial services, and across the spectrum it takes uh, uh, you know uh, uh, a good enough time period for you to do that. You have to also abide by a lot of compliances. You need to have regulatory licenses. So being able to do that, like if someone is abstracting out that whole difficult bit and making it easier for you to consume these financial services, it's a no-brainer. So simply from a financial services standpoint, it's purely buy makes. I mean, it is true for most cases today, but especially more so in financial services, buy makes more sense versus building it out yourself. Because and especially, if financial services is not your core, uh, even where it is core, for example, if you look at new banks that are coming up, right? To get a new bank up and running, it's a good 2-year project, before you are able to get that in place. You're able to roll out your offering. It's not a cakewalk, and that two years is also something that takes time for the best of the folks who are building it out. So if someone is able to abstract out that process and makes it easier for anyone to say start a new bank or embed banking or credit, or investments or money movement, within an existing offering, that is what APIs help in powering. It is really empowering all of these businesses, fintech or non-fintech, to be able to do that. You look at any fintech business in the country, they'll be consuming most of the good ones, are on a microservices architecture. They're consuming tons of different APIs for bunch of things that they need to, for say either it is providing credit or helping you invest in money markets or any of those things.
Okay. So you're saying is with let's say open or a few other players, me being like if I am a single guy app developer, I can pick up different components and build a bank.
Yeah, absolutely, you
Possible.
can do that. Yeah, very much.
And what about the regulatory stuff? I mean, so with banking part, you take care of that.
Correct. So we take care of that. We make it. I mean, obviously, the responsibility also lies on the app developer. to be able to be compliant with all the rules and regulations, but we make it easy. We take the hard work out of being compliant with the regulations. I mean, at the end of the day, it's everyone's responsibility to be compliant. So the app developer cannot shirk away from that responsibility, but we take the hard work out of being compliant.
Okay. So yeah, I remember when when the cloud came in, as in AWS. So I was the AWS first user. So that is when we, being a small team, also would have a infinitely scalable data center. But now you're saying we few guys can also build a bank. So that's what it allows, huh?
Absolutely. And
Cool.
if you look at it, if I were to just elaborate a bit more on it, and if you look at banking experiences today, for most parts of the world, and especially in India, we have very, very different segments of consumers and small businesses. But the banking experience is a one size fits all, right? No matter who you are, it's not very different. And if you look at any internet company, consumer or business oriented, the experience that you get is very different based on the person you are, right? It's hyper personalized. Our banking experiences are not that, whether it is accounts or credit or investments or any product that you take, they should be customized. They should be, and APIs are helping uh, you know platforms do that. They're enabling platforms to make it personalized. Say for example, a gig economy worker, right? Say a Swiggy driver, Swiggy rider. Now the type of banking experience this person needs, a Swiggy will be able to much better provide in terms of, say, helping them with accounts or credit or investments or spend tools, within their ecosystem, right? So their needs are much different from, uh, say, women that are involved as resellers on a Meesho, or small businesses that are on, say, a Dukaan app. The platforms that are catering to them are much better suited to provide these financial services, and APIs play a role there.
Okay, so I have a question here. So let's say Swiggy on the driver app would know more about a driver. So Rajat, if as Swiggy, I know my driver and his behavior and his needs. So is it possible I plug in your system and I can actually lend money to my driver as Swiggy?
Absolutely, absolutely. That's how it works. In fact, in our system, Swiggy in this case will push the driver information via an API into our system, and then they will call an API which is called an eligibility API to determine if this driver is eligible for credit or not. And then if he is, then he will be shown an offer on the app itself. Right. So
Okay.
that's how it works. Yeah.
You pick the best of everything and
Right. So
aggregate that.
yeah, that's correct. That's correct. So when Swiggy has in this case the data, they have to merge it with the data that we have about the driver, and then we create the decision for the driver and fund the driver as well. So yeah, all through various APIs.
Okay, so the funding part is also from your side.
That's correct. That's correct.
Awesome. So the next question I have, Veeraj, is for you. It's around the magic of business models that these APIs have, because it starts. I mean, like there are almost no upfront cost. Most of the times it is you just get started and you scale as the cloud works, right? So
Yeah.
but definitely on a provider side, it reduces. I mean, they keep on improving. Let's say if I'm talking about payments, so maybe a payment API provider, let's say a Razor Pay, can go and do all the partnerships and paperwork, and also keep improving the product. So what's the magic here? So with the volume, so what kind of play you've seen? So I believe in your business as well. The more AWS grows, is the bigger opportunity for you.
Yeah, definitely. So I'll like to pick this up in a slightly detailed way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's understand it as journeys, because when end consumer actually interfaces with set of APIs, it's basically a journey he actually plays either on web or on API on his mobile app, right?
Yeah.
I'll give a simpler example before we go to the complex banking part of it. To understand, because Uber might be used by most of us in a simpler way, and it's simple. So if you look, it's a one-page app, right? What's difficult in it? It's so simple. Only a few things to click on. But you still need a lot of engineering to do behind it. And does Uber actually make sure that it's doing everything itself? No, I think the location is coming from some different set of APIs. You actually say that, okay, I cancel the cab, and you pick a reason, or you say help desk is powered by Zendesk for Uber. Okay, API providers. And if you look at those API, but they are specializing and doing that continuously and repeating it continuously, and they actually have better performance, better understanding of it, and they solve the same complex problem again and again for multiple users. So when ending system, or a person going for an application who is actually applying for loan, I as an end consumer go and apply for a loan, right? I go, maybe the loan provider is, for example, ultimately a bank. I go to it and I actually put my details there. What it is important is how quickly traditionally it was days you need to go to bank. Now it's on web, and you actually need to first run. And can you do that journey more customized for me, right? For example, I put my address, and I'm living in an upscale society, right? And my residential address says that it's XYZ. There are APIs which actually tell you, now loan, I'll obviously come for 2 lakh loan, right? So my product is customized. And now you go to the credit history, and you check the credit history of me, and then you see, okay, the guy is already having a good income. So it's easy to give him loan because you know the income recovery will happen. So risk aversion happens, and you actually pass through. And in less than 30 minutes, you can actually take that person through the journey and deposit some amount in his account, whatever the loan amount is, right? Based on his profile. So this customization, if a lender or a bank wants to do and build these all plumbing elements together, it will take a lot of time for him. Now, if you go and see what some other API like Google Maps is one of them, and other things, and can actually tell us exactly what is. The data can be fed based on location, can be fed on another system, which is another set of APIs coming from a third party again. We say that, okay, the average income from this location is approximately XYZ. So you actually fit all these pieces together and collect all this data together as an end platform provider, who is actually a bank. Now I can focus more on lending, because my business is not building applications. My business is actually lending, and I earn by lending, right? As a bank, I lend to earn. And if this whole platform is built faster, and I'm in the market faster, that makes sense to me as a bank, right? And when these all organizations come together and actually build these APIs together, it makes sense. So that's the journey of it, and how you build beautiful journeys using different APIs. That's what we do. We actually customize these journeys for lending platforms, for other SaaS platforms. We actually pick up different APIs and different solutions and different systems and put all them together, put it into a wonderful way in front of the customers, right? And build their journeys and products ultimately, so that it supports their core business, right? Their core business is banking, is core business, and that supports the core business for them. But the problem does not stop here. Now you have disparate systems, and they have to talk to each other. They have to scale in tandem, and then it has to make business sense to the end business, because ultimately the acquisition cost of each customer has to be thought through, and then this has to be secure, this has to be compliant, this has to be multiple things, right? So we as an organization play this role as an intermediary, who are basically we're cloud professionals. We actually build systems on scale, and we build these systems on cloud platform. We of course use what Rajat and Vaibhav's team have already built to fill in the core problems which are already there, or AWS or Azure has built and solve some problems from them. We use these things so that it can be easily solved. That's how the end journey.
You focus on your niche or what your core offering is.
Yeah, we focus on our niche and our core offering are, because that's how in the whole part of business, right? If you are doing what you do best, then you can actually focus on that part of it, and everybody can play its own part and to build a complex system, right? So that's how this is when we call about API economy. That's how the economy is actually working, because you are building your part and someone else is actually putting more value to it, and then someone else is putting more value to it, which is the combined value for end customer, which in turn is a customer for some business process, right? Ultimately is a customer for a business process. Whether Uber is selling or a bank is building platforms, or a lending segment is actually doing something, or it's an Woot is actually showing videos and someone wants to put ads on it, or Domino's is selling pizzas and they want to deliver pizzas on time. So all these systems are actually now mesh of APIs working together, and scale becomes important. And I believe that individually, when companies are focusing on only APIs, we take an example of Okta, which is just an authorization API, right? And the company itself was valued at $6.5 billion.
What is Octization for my understanding?
Okta is authorization API. Basically, it's a company which just specializes in authorization. Whether a user is authorized to use a service or an API or not, right? Every API needs to be authorized, whether I'm a legitimate user or not. And it just does that. Actually, it's a complex thing on itself. But I'm saying that in simplicity, yes, it does only that. Or Twilio, it does only send SMSs, right? It says $16.5 billion. They just send messages. Right? So you can specialize problem of multiple users and multiple disparate systems and business processes. And that's what the API economy is, because you are not. And
because like I think Uber is Stripe plus Twilio plus Google Maps, right?
Yeah, plus Zendesk, plus few more things.
There's something interesting. So I'll ask Sumit, can you put that tweet on?
Yes, I'll just quickly put
I was just digging a bit around on the subject, and yes, I found an interesting tweet. This is although from last year. So Twilio did 365 mil quarterly, and WhatsApp. So Facebook spends $100 million they give to Twilio just for account verification of WhatsApp. Right. So I mean that's massive, and that's quite a moat that Twilio has. Because 100 million for account verification, and similarly I saw Shopify last year gave around $350 million to Stripe to take care of the payments.
Yeah, I think this is very important. When you look at Twilio, right, it's a very, very good example of how to simplify the complex thing. If you have to actually go and in your older days use SMS as a service, and it used to come from telephony providers, and you have to actually fill a lot of documentation to make sure that you're a legitimate user of it. And then after that, you have to build that platform and then utilize it. It was not a simple task. So I'm talking about 8, 9, 10 years back. If I had to build something like that, sending simple SMSs to people, right? It was not simple, and OTPs and other things. It was not, right, because you need to have accuracy. It always needs to come to you. You cannot miss it, right? It has to come in a time-based manner. All these things was actually messed up. It was not coming all the time. But the Twilio just did that and just solved that simple problem. And that problem is not now of one app or one platform. That problem is for hundreds of apps and hundreds of platforms. So they're solving only one problem, and that's their role. And they are then getting utilized by other companies.
Yeah, I think like a few of the niches and where the spaces where players are too massive, because every business, I mean, any business you are in, you need to communicate to your customer. You need to authenticate your users, right? You need to collect payments from your users. That is where Twilio or Stripe or the likes of these companies are so big. But on other side, do you think such kind of conversation comes anywhere wherein, let's say, with that chunk of money, do you think riding or depending on one specific player can be a disadvantage?
I would say yes and no. I'll try to actually answer this question in a simpler way. When you build systems, right, and these systems are scaling up, right, and because to start with, your first focus is to get onto business, acquire customers, and whatever business process you want to actually solve and solve a business problem. You want to make sure all the puzzles are fit together. But in the long run, when the business scales, the cost of making sure you are actually engaged with those partners, or cost of change from that partner can be massive, and you can get knowingly, unknowingly, you can get locked into the such systems. Whether you are using cloud platforms, because you can use a lot of services and which are APIs in themselves from the cloud platforms, or the systems like Thaploo or any other system, right? Then it becomes very important to understand whether the cost makes sense to you, whether the technology cost is actually appropriate for you, and change can be very complex. So how many times you actually need to be dependent and pick them up is very, you have to actually in the design cycle, and you have to foresee it well in advance, how long you can actually go and see that okay, you don't want to get logged in, because commercially it can impact in a big way. The second is cost of building is always there, and cost of maintaining is always there, right? As Rajat and Vaibhav both were saying, that just to make sure something is stable and is working fine can take a couple of years. Yeah, couple of years. So unless and until you don't have that scale to build that thing on your own, and your cost is not justifying it, it doesn't make sense, right, to build that, right? You don't build cloud platforms, right? It doesn't make sense to actually going saying that, okay, I have data center, now I build cloud platform. It doesn't make always sense. So business, ultimately you have to look at it from a business lens as well. Technology is wonderful, and but technology in itself is nothing, right? Actually, technology does not drive business. Business drives technology. Yeah. So keeping that thing in mind, we as tech guys can use all the wonderful technology, but does it make sense to business? Is what we have to look at. So it's yes and no for me. Sometimes you can get stuck. Sometimes it's better to actually utilize it. You have to make your architectural decisions and your business decisions in the context of architecture and business together.
Okay. I understand. The cost of building and maintaining versus versus your business altogether.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have a couple of questions here in the chat. I'll read through. One is directed, the first one to you, Rajat. Do you build all the APIs ground up, or do you source it from vendors?
So yeah, we don't build everything in-house, of course, but we built a bunch of stuff in-house. So anything to do with the credit scoring, credit underwriting, decision making, machine learning piece, we have in-house. Anything that is not core to that part of the business, I think we source. So a KYC we will not build in-house, we will source. A payment gateway, for example, and dispersal sort of APIs, we will not build, we will source. I hope that answers the question.
So the next one is again to you both, Rajat and Vaibhav. Where is the industry moving towards? Verticalized API service like FinBox, or horizontal like Open, Yap, or Setu? And what are the pros and cons for both the models?
That's an interesting question. And frankly, where is it moving towards? I don't know. That's a $1 billion question. And I think there is space for both kinds of platforms. This is a huge market. It's like, hundreds of billions of dollars of, lending that we are talking about. And there are different kinds of players, who, for which, sort of more, more sort of thinner layers will make sense for some people, and for some people, verticalized platforms will make more sense, right? And it also depends on how, how fast you want to go live, what is it that you want to sort of own as part of the experience, and what do you sort of really don't want. And how do you think about fintech as a strategy for your company, right? So those are some considerations. If fintech sort of really is part of your strategy, then you can sort of come, still sort of customize a bunch of what we do. But if you really want to become like a full stack digital lender, then maybe you build what we've built in-house, right? So that's how it is. So if it's you want to embed financial services but don't want to become a digital lending player, then you come talk to these platforms. If not, then you could sort of want to build it in-house.
I agree with what Rajat said. I'll just add on top of it that the market is very, very large. It's incredibly large, and all of us are barely scratching the surface right now. It's so deep, and a lot of times people think that it's just confined to a few large platforms integrating these financial services, but it's not that. The larger movement, if I were to say, it's from how the customers are sourced, right? The customers won't be sourced in branches. The customers won't be sourced through relationship managers. The customers, and it goes for any financial services, they'll be sourced through the platforms, that are, that own the customers, or that are providing valuable products or services to the customer that the customer uses. So those will be the channels through which the customers will get sourced. And how many of these platforms are really providing financial services, right? Few of them, not many of them. And it's deep, right? If you look at any tier 2, 3 town in India, there are tons of small ERP systems, who are providing softwares or hospitals, and are they providing? Have they embedded financial services through their systems? No, they haven't. Most of them haven't. So they'll do that. So the market is very, very deep, and the larger movement is from sourcing financial services physically, or from that standpoint, to actually through APIs. What our topic is about, right? Whether it is movement of data, whether it is movement of financial services, the incredible public utility infrastructure that is getting created in India, which is all, for example, what Aadhaar did, right? The cost of doing UPI for KYC was somewhere around 1,000 odd bucks, right? Now it has come down, with Aadhaar KYC, based KYC, it has come down to in tens of rupees, right? So yeah, I mean, the market is barely getting started, and I think whether it is verticalized or horizontal player, I think everybody is here to stay. I think there should be more players doing it more than horizontal or vertical.
Yeah.
So is one more question about on the banking side from Nishant. In terms of security, is there any certification required, some compliance for banking APIs?
So should I?
Yeah.
Please,
Yeah.
please. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, so for example, we are providing banking APIs. We go through a lot of certification. There's a lot of audits and tests that we have to undergo before we are able to consume APIs from banks and further expose it to platforms that want to consume it. So we definitely go through a lot of certifications, and we have to abide by a lot of standards. The platforms, I mean, again, at our end, we do the KYC checks. We do similar sorts of, not as deep as banks would do on us, but we definitely do our checks to ensure that the platforms consuming these APIs are doing it for the right purpose. They have the appropriate checks and balances at their end or not. So we do that. But specific to certification, no, there's no certification required as such. And there are different types of, for example, even when you say banking APIs, for example, now account aggregators are coming in. They'll facilitate movement of your data from a bank account, to the financial institution user in a much more easier manner. That is all governed by very elaborate protocols, consent artifacts to that you as a user would provide, etc. I mean, all of that is part of public utility infra, but especially, if you want to make there's no underlying license for.
Okay. So one question here from Mukesh for you, Rajat. Need to understand from Rajat if they're having products for companies creating platforms to see various financial products, including loans, MFs, insurance. Not sure if I got the product. I got the question.
So I think we have the capability, but our customer set is essentially, a platform that is serving the platform in a non-financial way already, right? And wants to embed financial services as an alternative way to serve the customer, right? So the customer essentially is engaged on the platform, not because of any loan product that they are selling, but because they're doing something on the platform on their own. So for example, a B2B e-commerce platform would be a good example, and those guys can sort of tap into us and work with us to embed financial services in the platform. Having said that, yeah, we have like a lending stack, so we look at it, we work only in the credit space right now, not in the MF or insurance space as of now, but in credit we do a couple of products. We do term loans as well as buy now pay later, which is a revolving credit line product. So these two products are something that we support as embedded financial products.
Okay. Veeraj, if you're looking at the chat questions, I think there is one for you. Is AWS API management service enough for security to start API?
Yeah, I think the answer to this is yes. And AWS has a quite matured API management system. Okay. Is that enough? It also depends on scale, what we are talking about, right? In API management, it in itself can be complex, and then there are specialized companies who actually do that only. But API management from AWS is quite matured from that perspective, and it's there in the business from last few years, more than 3-4 years in the business when they're actually doing API management. And we have been using it pretty successfully for APIs at a very, very high scale. I'm saying that hundreds and thousands of hits are happening in a minute kind of a situation, right? And managing it from the mesh APIs, where there are hundreds and thousands of APIs getting utilized in that kind of time to do different activities and actions for that way. I'll say that yes, it is. It's a mature service from that perspective. From security perspective, security is a shared responsibility from that perspective. So cloud has been always advocating as it as a shared responsibility. We cannot say by using something which is secure, you are actually secure. You have to actually look at all the endpoints or all the bits in the whole architecture of the system and understand if there is any single point of failure for security perspective and fix that. It cannot be just relied on whether API is management is secure. That does not answer the question, but you can still use API management and still keep loops out when you actually are not secure, because one thing does not guarantee that security. So it's a drill in itself, managing security on cloud, and it has to be looked in a holistic way.
Okay. So pretty interesting points came up. Now I think I have a couple of more questions, and one more thing that I wanted to discuss. So we understand some APIs are good, provides a Lego block kind of thing to build on top. Gives me, let's say if I want to add lending, gives me Rajat and his entire company doing lending for me, and all I have to do is add a button to my app. So great value. I want to bring in banking. Entire open team is doing that for me. So yes, I understand that also. Now the question is, so earlier, I don't know if you remember, there was an ad when the new iPhone 3G, I think iPhone 3G came in, or when the App Store came in. So it has the ad was around. You want to do this? There is an app for that. You want to do that? There is an app for that. Like you want to run, you want to read, do anything. There is an app for that. And I see for everything you have an API. Now the question here is: do you think, and going forward, they'll be increasing? There'll be like a trillion endpoints for users to use. Now, if I want to pick up, let's say, on lending part or on banking side, but I'm sure if I want to do pick up a payment thing, or if I want to provide credit, there'll be like 10, 15, 20, or like maybe 100 players offering the same APIs. So how does the discovery happen now?
This is a really interesting question. Eh? I like to pick this up because that's the role which we play majorly, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, I think there are a couple of things when we actually look at the APIs, right? APIs have maturity in itself, right? When you actually say that I want to use a particular service provider, right? Three things which will come into play. One is the maturity of the API, or the maturity of the system which are actually provided. Second is the cost. Third is the features that you are actually looking forward for, right? All the providers will not provide all the feature sets which you are looking forward for, because they will bring their own niches and intelligences which they would like to have, right? So these are the three things when you actually look at it. So scale, maturity, that's one more from the stability and reliability part of it. The second is the cost benefit analysis. Third is the fitment, right? Feature fitment. So these things will be actually more relevant, and you'll be actually always going from that thought process. And doing it. It's very simple. If I have to actually do a payment gateway integration today, I have a choice, right? I can do Zeta, I can do Razor Pay, I can do so many other payment gateway
Yeah. So what do
integrations,
you?
right?
Who decides here? So
Stripe.
who decides here? My point being, I think developers have been taking the call on what APIs to pick.
Yeah, I'll give you an example of payment integration, right? It's a very simple thing, right? Payment integration is an example, right? We have multiple providers.
Yeah.
Now I would like to have payments being done in these many currencies, because I am playing in these currencies as an app owner, and because I am from maybe Southeast Asia and I am actually available in multiple currencies in Southeast Asia, right? Then I would be look at who is this payment gateway provider who will support me all on these currencies. Will everybody be able to support all the currencies in the globe? Practically, it's almost difficult for everyone, right?
So
And if I'm
so what you're saying is what now, like what I understand here is, if my business is a API first business, so the mode for me is expanding. I mean, like in this payments case, expanding to number of currencies and modes of payment.
in payment gateway, yes, but again, you have so much business, as Vaibhav and Rajat was saying. Even if you actually take up a smaller pie out of it and just serve that market better, right? It itself is bigger.
Yeah, I'm not saying that I'm not saying the opportunity is not that big. I'm saying as an end consumer, let's say. So what I understood from the entire discussion is, because picking up an API is not a tech call. Here I am choosing a company. That API is a company. Here I am choosing a company that okay, my payment services would be handled by this company, my customer support would be handled by this company, and my communication would be handled by this company.
Exactly.
So I believe these decisions are not the developers' call.
So Puneet, what you're saying is, depends on the maturity of the product or the services that you want to integrate. For example, if a product is fairly new, there it becomes a business's call. Business also has an equal say as compared to tech, for example. But as the product or the industry starts maturing, and Veeraj would attest to it, uh, uh, any developer which is working on a tech product or platform, they're consuming so many services already. They'll just put their card details and they're using the service, right? It's not the business person who's taking the call. The business person isn't even aware what all services are getting consumed. That is because that product or industry has matured to a level wherein developer is taking the call. So developer is deciding based on the parameters, for example, that Veeraj was mentioning, right? Which ones feel scalable, reliable, are easy to integrate, are following the standards that are commonly used, right? I mean, if you look in the market, a lot of popular players are not following, say, RESTful standards, and assuming those are the popular standard in the
No,
industry, right? So
I'm not like talking about. Let's assume we are a bit ahead in future when we are saying there will be so many APIs.
then it'll be a developer's call. So I mean, once we reach a point where there are so many players, the decision will start moving on from business to developer. That is what I'm trying to say. As products or industries start maturing, decisions start moving on from a business person to a developer. And also, when the decision lies with the business person, for example, there are these other parameters that Viraj was saying, right? Whether you have to say, for example, you have to deal in multiple currencies, and say a particular provider is not supporting that, or ecosystem, right? For example, if you take accounting software, there's Tally, there are a bunch of others, right? But Tally has created an ecosystem for their product. An accountant is comfortable using Tally, right? So the accountant goes and recommends to the business that adopt Tally, or I'll use Tally as your accounting software, right? So it is also about which products get ecosystems together. So I think probably a function of those.
Okay. So I have a new idea here. Let me help me out with if it makes sense. But we'll pick up a few questions. So it is a question from Timanna. Is API economy being commoditized, losing its value add quickly for anyone?
I think what Timanna means to say is that if you are a commoditized product, API economy will start making you redundant, because say the grunt work that you have done to make something useful becomes redundant, because with APIs, data movement, data flow becomes easier, right? And for example, this very much applies to financial services industry, right? Take, for example, one aspect of credit scoring. You want to parse a bank statement, and there are hundreds of banks, very different types of bank statements. It's a difficult task. It's hard work. What FinBox does, what Perfios does, in terms of understanding that bank statement, fetching the data, ensuring that there's no fraud involved here. So now with account aggregators coming in, for example, this data which is residing in your bank statement will be easily available through APIs which follow all the right standards. So the hard work that went into, I mean, this is not the right example to say that that was a commodities business. In fact, it was not. There were barely few players doing that. But I guess the point is that a lot of commodities business will start losing their value add, which I believe is the right way to generalize how API economies move value from say commodities players to specialized players who provide
but I think
specific value.
it happens with like every space.
Yeah,
Every
I think
space.
that's true. I think as it matures more and more, uh, there will be a lot of things which will become more commodity, and there will be more and more specialization coming in.
Yeah.
So as we mature, for example, cloud, I believe, is a very, very good platform. Everybody is moving towards cloud. But down the line, 10 years, there will be more specialization on top of cloud. Cloud is again set of APIs, if you look at that way, right? But I believe that cloud itself will become a commodity, and people will be using it at a scale everywhere, and everybody will be actually kind of looking at it. There might be a few players, that's a different discussion, right? Whether number of players are there, but it will be kind of a given thought process. Okay, we'll always use cloud kind of a thought process will be there, right? That will always happen, and then there will be always a left shift which will happen, and we will actually focus on more and more specialized services to provide on top of it. And that will happen on all the fields. Every technology which is relevant now and is current and is kind of wow technology will become, I think, smartphones 10 years back versus smartphones today.
Yeah, smartphones, chatbots.
Yeah, so that's what will happen with APIs as well. I don't think that will be different, but yeah, there will be always specializations and then specialized services on top of it.
Okay. So here's one question from Pranav. Says banks trying to act as fintech API providers themselves. What's the panel's opinion, guys?
So banks already provide APIs. It's just that it's difficult to consume those. I mean, and both are coexisting. So there are people who directly go to banks and consume those APIs, or they, say for example, rely on a BaaS provider to do that. It's just that when you're directly going to a bank, it's
Okay.
right now the way the APIs are is difficult to consume.
I think I have a slightly different view here, but yeah, I'll say that banks are also trying to innovate as much as possible, right? And banks are against the fintech, and I'll not say that it's an ecosystem which is, yes, we like, but they also understand if they want to exist in this ecosystem forward, they have to innovate and they have to scale their customer base, right? It's ultimately who will actually own the customer base from the long run, and that's the continuous competition. It's a direct competition, joint competition from that perspective, and that's continuously happening. So in my view, banks are innovating. Are they innovating fast enough? I think time will tell that.
Rajat, you want to come in?
I think I want to sort of just sort of share my 2 cents on this commodity sort of piece.
Mm-hmm.
I think this API business, right, is a very interesting business. If you can imagine, right, what is an API? API is actually multiple things. From a business perspective, it is an ability to bring in another company to do some of your job, right? It's like techno outsourcing, if you can call it that. It's also a protocol. It's also basically how you work together, right? So how does somebody sitting in Delhi work with FinBox, right? If only our business guys are talking and they're just looking at like certain agreements, etc., how does that materialize ultimately? Or if the developers are just looking at our API specs and saying, okay, we can integrate it this way, XYZ, and this is how this is what will happen. Let's put that piece in the contract, and then let's just go from there. Isn't that much better, right? So what the API economy essentially does is it actually, by giving people the ability to mix and match, creates new business models as you go forward, right? And those new business models essentially are the innovation in the tech ecosystem. They're not only the tech products that you're creating, is the business model that gets generated because you are able to do things that you were never able to do, right? A Kirana tech app actually dreaming about building fintech wouldn't be able to do this, right? And now the banks can come in and say, okay, we also had those plans, right? We also want to do this. We also thought about it. Yeah. We will also do it. But the point is that the business model is evolving because of the layer of, what say an open is doing, what say, Blazeclan also, I'm guessing AWS wants to build these things, themselves, right? A lot of API management, they keep building stuff, but the businesses that build on top never die. So the point is that, the tech piece is always evolving. And if we get these APIs in, we will sort of, mix and match and create something new, right? So we'll move on. And, it's what we call as, a derivative business. It's all about speed. It's all about, innovation. It's all about the next big thing, right? So, it's not about optimization or cost saving. If you can imagine, what is the most expensive tech resource? It's a developer, right? You can't find guys who will write code. You can't, you just can't. right? You don't have an infinite supply, but there are infinite problems to solve in the software domain. If you keep doing everything yourself, then you're basically, just looking back and sort of trying to solve their problems. Maybe you're just optimizing cost, not looking at the opportunity, right? So I have a strong feeling that people will realize that, building a collaborative sort of model via APIs and actually focusing on their own customer is the best way to go forward, rather than looking at, what we can build in house. That doesn't create value. It just sort of saves you some cost.
Yeah, the best strategy is just serve the customer.
Right. Get what you have and sort of concentrate on your own customer to deliver that value. Right. And that the API sort of, the framework gives it to you. There are guys like us or like Open who sort of working for your customer to, so that you can make them happy, right?
Awesome. So very, very lovely chatting, guys. I'll ask for, if anyone has any question, you can press raise hand or put up the message on chat. So I wanted to come on to idea just came in, and I want to get your views on it. So looking at number of APIs, no doubt APIs are the product now, and it'll be more number of APIs, and just as a business, I'll be anyone would have a more number of choices. So do you think there is, of course, let's compare, let's leave APIs for a second, and let's think of software products. So do you think, so right now, if your company wants to buy a product, you would go dig, see, compare, I mean, like feature and everything is there. But I mean, there are platforms like, let's say a G2 or Capterra, which is a repository which the main purpose is bring in more customer reviews and list in and compare most number of products in a category. So these I would say essentially a discovery platform, because not that there is FinBox does not mean there cannot be a new player, and that also has to be discovered, and maybe that also comes up with a pretty interesting set of things. Now, so do you see anything similar, something similar to Capterra on the API front? Because let's say if I want to do KYC, or if I want to do a payment, something that gives me all the payment API providers together and helps me compare and decide.
So yeah, I'm guessing that knowledge is inside the ecosystem. Given fintech still sort of is given that we are fintech guys, I think we always live and breathe fintech, and we think that everything is fintech, right?
Yeah.
And so our feel is that, okay, we, for example, or any of the fintech guys will know, which are the top 3 KYC, which are the top 3 KYC guys, which are the top 3 payment gateways, what's happening in the market. But I'm guessing, yeah, for there needs to be a repository, or at least a simple website will do in case of fintech, right? Because it's not as big as the entire software sort of ecosystem, where you have to have like, crazy number of sort of services, right? But fintech, I'm guessing it's a very simple website that you're talking about, which can list all of the players and people can go and compare.
But do you think that there is a need, or there is a need that will come in future, that, okay, I want to do this. Let's say I want to send SMS. So I know today I know Twilio, but I also know that if I go out in in Navi Mumbai only, I'll find 50 other players who give me APIs to send SMS. So how do we create opportunity and bring these guys up?
No, absolutely. So fintech is a complex use case though, right? Because SMS, you can sort of say that, okay, SMS sent by Twilio and SMS sent by, say anyone else is actually the, same experience for the customer. Yeah. The SMS either reaches or doesn't reach. But for example, with a complex, financial services transaction, especially lending, for example, the user experience from one guy to another is never going to be the same. It's not a standard experience, right? There is differentiation between how the user is ultimately feeling, what is the kind of money that gets deposited, how fast is it, how easy was it to build, what kind of loan products are you supporting all geographies, what is happening, right? So there's a bunch of different dimensions for a service provider like in financial services, it's not as cut and dry, right? It's not super simple. And my guess is there will be players for each of these. So for example, we focus only on credit, but there are guys who are great at insurance, right? So insurance guys are there and they're doing embedded insurance. Embedded banking is there, they're doing that, right? So there is a diversity in the product itself. It's not as standardized as an SMS, and that's why it's not so easy to compare, right? So it has to be well understood, and it has to still be there has to be a fair amount of information sharing before people sort of are able to make these decisions. And I think that is what also that opportunity gives a lot of players to actually inform the ecosystem, right? So there's a bunch of information being put out there by iSpirit, by people writing blogs, by us also. We are trying to put some information out there as well. So educating the ecosystem about how to make these choices, how to think about these products is super important in the fintech space, right? It's not because it is a complex product. It is a complex transaction. It is a regulated space. So it requires its own, for people to understand its own nuances, and for them to also understand how to evaluate various solutions in the market. It will take some time. But yeah, anybody who understands this, there are players in the market who educate the market. Maybe, a website, a registry would be really helpful as well. But it might not solve everything.
Yeah.
I think I have a way, because when we use any APIs outside, right? It's usually the documentation you go through, and all the public third-party facing APIs are well documented. So it is not a 1+1 solution to that, whether which one is the best or which one fits in. So some kind of mastery will be required in that particular ecosystem, and understanding what you want to utilize when particularly solving that particular problem. So it will be a knowledge-driven industry. I don't think it will be it's not something like review-driven. It's not a retail kind of a situation, right, where you actually just buy the product and keep it in your pocket. That's not what is going to happen, because you have to solve a business problem ultimately utilizing that, and you have to do some part of plumbing using that. So it is not 1+1 kind of a solution.
Okay. Cool. Awesome. Sumit, so we wrap up?
Yes, Puneet, that would be amazing.
All right. Thank you, Rajat. Thank you, Vaibhav, and thank you, Veeraj. Lovely chatting. I got pretty clear about APIs and how things are moving forward. Thank you for coming.
Thanks, Puneet.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me.
Thanks a lot.
Sumit was waiting for us to wrap up.
Thank you so much, Rajat. Thanks, Vaibhav. Thanks, Veeraj. With that, I will like to move ahead with our agenda, and there are our partners coming up. Since we already got to know that all the players are building some set of API sandboxes in one format or the other, and as it is rightly said that APIs are the ones who is driving the digital transformation. So with that, I will like to welcome Srikanth from Signzy, who is the VP at products at Signzy. Hi, Srikanth.
Hi. Hey, thanks for the opportunity.
Thanks.
Hi. Hi, everyone. So at Signzy, we are focused on helping financial services companies, startups, quickly build out features and scale. And having had a startup myself, I understand how difficult the journey is for entrepreneurs, and even more so if you're in financial services. And whatever the others have been building, whether it's Rajat or Veeraj or Vaibhav, I mean, it's just amazing, because it's so difficult to do that, especially in India. So we said, Shreyas, who's working with startups, he says, okay, why don't we help startups and make it easy for them to start out with APIs which are critical to their business and handhold them in their journey to greatness. So what we did was that we said, okay, we'll just with the way we look at things, we create an API marketplace of sorts and help you get going. So which is just a variation of whatever we are doing anyways. So what I'll do now is I will just hand it over to Parth Shah. He's a product manager for API, and he'll just quickly walk you through what APIs we have and a glimpse of what we offer. Please post your questions on the chat box if you have any. Parth.
Hi, thanks, Srikanth. Hi everyone. So yeah, my name is Parth Shah, and I am the product manager for the APIs opportunity to explain about our APIs and also take you through few of our popular ones and their use cases. So we cover a wide spectrum of APIs which range from KYC, KYB to AML and CFT use cases, as well as certain APIs that focus on e-signing and document intelligence as well. And these APIs don't only cover use cases in India, but we also cover these use cases at a global scale, covering close to 240 countries right now. And when it comes to API, we maintain the highest of standards on the quality and the security, given that we work with major banks and institutions across the globe. So we are ISO certified and regularly audited by third parties as well. We are able to also deploy these APIs not just on cloud but also on premise as well. And we work with multiple cloud providers to deliver a robust experience. I would also like to now, showcase our sandbox, which makes it easy for developers as well as business teams to quickly test out our APIs in real time. So let me just share my screen as well. I hope you guys are able to see my screen.
Yes, we
So
can
this
see it.
is our All right, yeah. So this is our sandbox environment, right? So over here, you don't need to do any sort of, integration or maybe try it in Postman, nothing. You can just quickly plug in the values that are required for the API and start using them. So this helps with a quick testing for a lot of the capabilities that we provide. I'll go through a few of the popular ones since we're constrained on time. Here on the identities flow, currently you can see that we have all the OVDs that we support in India, including Aadhaar, PAN, driving license, voter ID, etc. So on the Aadhaar front, or also on the overall identities front, we do a few things. Basically, that is extraction, data fetch, and verification. So extraction, as the name suggests, we pull data from the that is uploaded. As you can see here, I've uploaded my own Aadhaar card, and you can see the quality is not that great, but it is good enough, right? So our ML models are trained on such scenarios as well. Now we get the output in JSON format, right? As you can see, my name, date of birth, PIN code, address, everything is extracted. One key thing that you can see here is my Aadhaar number, right? Only the last 4 digits are visible, even though the Aadhaar card submitted has all the 8 digits, right? All the 12 digits, sorry. So you can see as per RBI guidelines, right, we need to mask the Aadhaar number whenever we are storing or processing it, right? So we make sure that we are compliant with all the guidelines that are set in the BFSI industry. Now, there are use cases where you would like to save this photo. And when you're saving these photos on your server, you would want to mask the number as well. So we provide certain APIs for that as well. So again, you can see here that the number is not masked. But the output of this API would be the image with the masked Aadhaar number, right? As you can see here in the cropped image, the Aadhaar number gets masked. So we make sure that all the guidelines are followed whenever we're dealing with sensitive data, right? With all the authorities. The second part of identities was fetch. So, right, we are able to fetch data directly from the official government sources just by passing in the identification number. So this is my PAN. As you can see, all the data related to my PAN is available. So this helps in quick identification as well as the verification of the end user. Coming to third part, which is verification. So basically what we do is we do the extraction on the image as well as we pull data from the official government sources and we do a match on our end to make sure whether this is matching or not, whether they are verified or not, right? We are also an official DigiLocker requester. So there are advantages of using DigiLocker in India. Primarily, it is because we get to pull data directly from the official sources as DigiLocker acts like a mediator. All the data that we obtain from DigiLocker is also digitally signed. So the data is not tamperable, right? Now, other APIs that are very popular in our stack, one is email validation. So this is used in all the onboarding journeys where the email ID is collected for important communication. Now I'll be entering my Signzy ID, right? And you can see here whether this email ID is valid and whether we can deliver mails to this email ID or not. So you can see it is a valid. Basically, we do a silent check here on the SMTP mailbox so that we are sure that the email entered by the user is a valid one or not. So let's say if I enter an incorrect email ID, you can clearly see that this mailbox is not found and this is an invalid email. So this is very popular in onboarding journeys. The other one I want to take you guys through today is our vehicle registration API, right? So here you could possibly enter any RC number, and this will fetch details from the official government data source. You can see here that all the details associated with the car is available, as well as the details associated with the owner. You can see the owner's name, the number of owners that the particular car has had. So this is a very useful in cases such as insurance as well as car loans, right? Wherein if somebody is applying for a car loan for a used car, you can check whether it's first hand, it's a second hand car or not, and things like that. And definitely moving below in the response, we have all the details, the technical details associated with the car. Few of the important things that we supply here are whether it's a commercial vehicle or not. This is available through the permit details. And also if there are any outstanding challans or any blacklist status by any of the sources would be available here as well. So in this particular case, this car is not blacklisted, but in case it is, we would see those details as well. On the global level, right? So this was specific to India, right? So on the global level, we are able to extract details of the ID cards as well as able to classify them, right? So currently we have capabilities to classify and extract details of ID cards in over 240 countries, as well as the number of ID cards we support is somewhere close to 9,000, right? So just for this demo, taking an example. Right, so I'm going to be using the Malaysia ID card, and you will see that the response of the API is to classify the ID card as well as extract details of it. So in Malaysia, my card is the official ID card. And you can see here we've gotten the details that was extracted, as well as you can see that this is an ID card in Malaysia and this is the document type. So we classify as well as extract details over here. Now, I just quickly skimmed you through the KYC capabilities of Signzy in India as well as on the global scale. Similarly, we do have capabilities in the KYB region as well, which is Know Your Business. In India, there are plenty of identifications for businesses such as PAN, GST, SIN, Udyam, IC, etc. And we do support all of those IDs. On the global level, we again have a single API which is able to cater to all the countries. On this front, we have close to about 180 countries right now. So in global business, you have the option to either search by name or search by the unique ID if that is available. So just for one quick example, let's say if you want to search Tesla, right? It's part of Delaware district. So let's say if I'm looking for Tesla. Right, so you can see you get details associated with Tesla. Now you can also pull their details, right? You could pull this ID number. Over here, you're seeing the basic details such as the name, the address, and the source of the data where we are getting this from. But if you were to do the same search using the ID number, right, you would get a lot more details. So just for example, for Tesla, if we do it, you will be able to see filing details, you'll be able to see director details, you will be able to see all of that as well, right? So this is on the global front. We recently also added LEI APS, which is the legal entity identifier that is used on a global level to identify companies. So that is being now supported at India and global level as well. Another area that we focus on is forgery, right? So any onboarding journey, any identification, forgery is an important factor. Now on forgery, there are plenty of ways and different compliances across companies as to what they consider to be a forgery, right? Some companies would not allow you to submit photocopies. Some would want to check whether this image was off the internet, off of Google Images, right? And whether it was photoshopped or not. So we support all of those things. So just to quickly show an example of a photocopy, let's say if I've submitted this PAN PDF, right, which is a photocopy, you would be able to see that this would be able to detect that this is a photocopy, and you could stop your journey right there. So you could call APIs at certain stages in the journey, which can help you identify different types of forgery depending on your compliances. So you can see the photocopy check shows yes, and you can also see the PDF that this is an actual photocopy scanned PAN card. The other APIs that are very popular from Signzy stack is the face match API. This is used in a lot of cases where the user onboards digitally, I would say, right? So the photo from his official OVDs, any of the OVDs, and the selfie that he uploads is compared against, and if it matches is when he proceeds in the journey. So just for an example, you can see one of my photo which is clicked from a camera, and one selfie which I had taken through my laptop's camera as well. Now, these two photos are distinctively different, as you can see, with different backgrounds and the quality. And we would be doing a face match on these two photos, right? So you can see there is a 98% match, and we would be allowing this to, or with confidence, we can say it belongs to the same person, right? Now, this combination can be done across OVDs as well. You could match the photo of the person from the Aadhaar card as well as the photo of the person from the PAN card to make sure both the OVDs belong to the same person along the match as well. Now, while face match, the photos can be uploaded in a fraudulent manner. To avoid that as well, we have something called video verification in place. Video verification helps also detect liveliness of the user, whether it's the same person who is he claiming to be in front of the camera or not. Now, this is done through variety of ways, right? So in video verification, we do through OTP based, wherein the user recites the OTP in front of the camera. We do it through gestures, where the user is asked to perform basic gestures such as blinking or nodding or moving their head left or right direction, right? So this will help with the liveliness detection, as well as we match it against the image uploaded. So there's a face match as well as a liveliness detection in video verification. We also have image passive liveliness, in which we try to detect liveliness of the selfie the user has uploaded. Keeping the time in mind, is quickly skimming through the other APIs that we have in our marketplace is on the AML CFT front. So over here, we partner with leading AML and CFT companies in the world. So we have partnered with WorldWatch Plus as well as Dow Jones to deliver the solutions worldwide. And lastly, just to conclude, we have Aadhaar e-signing directly from NSDL, as well as our entire contracting product suite, in which you could upload a contract and send it across multiple users for signing, right? So anybody that's probably carrying out a loan application journey, and end of loan, they need to carry out the e-signing process. So our entire digital contracting suite helps with the same. So I think this was a quick walkthrough of few of the APIs, and there are plenty more APIs to cover. But since we are short in time, I would definitely love for you guys to explore our API marketplace. And if there's any feedback on the same, we'd love to hear from you. Thank you, guys. Any questions I would like to also take now?
Great. Thank you so much, Parth. Thanks a lot, Srikanth. Just wanted to like put forward one specific question is how can people like start testing out these APIs? Like, should they log in on a specific landing page, or should they write out personally to the Signzy team? Uh, if you can just give that idea, that would be great.
Sure. Yeah. Sure. So we're actually coming up with a separate landing page and sign up for startups. So that should be probably very soon. But in the meantime, you could actually reach out to Shreyas, and I think I'll ask Shreyas to put his email ID there, and we will provision this ASAP for you.
Great. That's amazing. Great.
Perfect. I'll put my email ID down, and any startup essentially who wants to access our sandbox can reach out to me directly, or Sumit can do the needful connects.
Yes, absolutely. You can reach out to the Fintech OI team, and we can happily make an introduction with Shreyas and the team. With that, thank you so much, Srikanth. Thanks a lot, Parth.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Shreyas. I would like to move ahead with our second showcase out of the three ones. The second one is with Open and Siddhant out there, who is like leading the whole Open and the Switch platform. So I would like to like hand over the mic to Siddhant, and like Siddhant, if you can give a brief, quick overview about Switch, what you guys are building at Switch, and how can a startup come and start working and with financial services, implementing financial services through Switch in their applications.
Awesome. Thanks, Sumit, and hello, everyone. Thank you for staying this late for this session. So Zwitch, I believe whatever everyone had been talking about embedded finance, that's what Zwitch is all about. Um, Zwitch helps businesses embed or offer financial services in their existing platforms. That's what we do at Zwitch. Uh, we have a bunch of APIs like virtual accounts creations on the fly. You can create your current accounts and savings accounts on the fly. You can do KYC validation like your Aadhaar OTP based validation or your PAN card validation, or you can even uh, you can create beneficiaries. You can link an existing current account with our partner banks, of course, and you can do the bank account validation also. You can do IFSC, UPI ID validation. So all of these APIs are part of the bucket that Switch is offering to businesses. This is our dev portal, dev hub, where you can explore our APIs. You can read more about Switch, what Switch is all about. We are, of course, PSI DSS level 1 compliant in terms of security. So the level 1 is the highest level of security standards you can think in the payments card industry. Of course, ISO 27001 certified uh, in terms of all the regulatory compliances. You can manage your API credentials directly within the dashboard. So the straightforward URL is developers.swish.io. That's where you can get over and then explore our APIs. Our APIs are very straightforward. These are RESTful APIs, plug and play APIs. You can just quickly read through our documentation around how to get started. All you have to go do is just go to dashboard.zist.io, log in with the email ID and password. Once you sign up, you get the. I'll show you the dashboard in a while. So once you're done with that, you can explore the APIs. Like for example, the accounts APIs, which talks about creating virtual accounts, creating savings accounts, and current accounts. In fact, you can create virtual accounts in two types. One is as a wallet and one is as a collection tool. So considering a use case where there's an NBFC who needs to collect EMIs, some regular payments basically, where the money should just uh, the customer should just load the money into the wallet, into the virtual account, and the money directly flows from the customer's virtual account to the primary virtual account of the merchant of the business. And then from there they can do the automated payouts. You can trigger transfers to your own primary current account, bank account, or you can make payouts to your vendors. So those are the capabilities that you can use by using virtual account as a collection tool. You can also create virtual account as a wallet. So think of it, you want to have a wallet like a mechanism, the way it works in Ola or Uber or other places. But those are like PPI licensed products. But this is like a mechanism where a customer can load in money, they can transact on the website. Whatever the remaining money, it lies in over there. You don't get an interest out of it, like neither the merchant, neither the customer. The money is still there lying over there, and for any future transactions the money can be used. Or alternatively, if there is any refund, for example, you want to like load some money into the customer's account, like instead of transferring the money back to the original source, you can use this as a wallet. You can transfer the money from your VA to this VA of the customer. So yeah, you can link existing current accounts, our current account APIs to create new accounts. So for now, you can link an existing ICICI account, but we are soon coming up with creating new accounts using our partner bank, State Bank of Mauritius. That will be out soon. Then savings account is something that you can create as well. We are partnering with Equitas, where you can create your Equitas savings account on the fly for your customers. It does the minimum KYC on the portal. Uh, then payments, where you can put in a UPI collect request. So oftentimes you would see that there's a collect request that can go to your customer. You just put in the amount, the VPA handle, and it goes to the customer through which that VPA handle is connected. So let's say the VPA handle was created on GPay or PhonePe. So the request goes to the specific PSP app to make any payment. You can the best part about the virtual accounts, it helps in easy reconciliation towards the end of the month. So it does the reconciliation automatically for you, so that you don't have to spend towards like time towards the end of the month. You can retrieve your payment details at any point of time. If anything goes wrong, you can list all the payments. You can, once you have linked your current account, or you have created a new current account or created a new savings account, you can create beneficiaries via the APIs directly on that bank. So instead of making your customer go to their net banking portal, create a beneficiary, initiate a transfer, you can let that happen within your own platform using our APIs. Getting beneficiaries, listing all beneficiaries, deleting, making transfers, create transfers, so and so forth, and verifying bank account. So just like Signzy has a lot of verification APIs, like something for the bank accounts you need to verify. You need to verify the IFSC code. You want to do a penny drop on it additionally to see whether this account really exists. You want to authenticate, like have a two-factor check on it, like you do a penny drop of 1.15, a random figure, for example, and then you ask the customer, okay, like enter the amount that's been that's been deposited to your account, so that you are preventing fraud to the maximum level. So those are the checks that you can do. Or you can just like have a penny drop, and if it is successful, then you can just like confirm, okay, whether this bank account exists or not. You can verify their VPA handle, UPI ID, basically. KYC verification, as I said, like it's a two-factor OTP-based authentication. You can have this directly integrated in your platform instead of running around for a manual KYC process. So sign-up process is pretty simple. You just go to dashboard.switch.io. Okay. So once you log into the dashboard.this.io, you can manage your API keys. Right now, I am, and the beauty of this dashboard is you can toggle in from your sandbox mode, your test mode, to your live mode, just with this toggle. So I was in my live mode. Right now, I'm in the test mode. I just toggled in. Manage your keys. You will find your test keys over here. Now, once you're ready to go live, you can just like toggle to the live keys, live mode, and you will see your live keys over here. That's simple. Going back to the launchpad, so manage your keys directly from the dashboard. You can connect the APIs. You can just run it in Postman. It directly imports the collection into your Postman tool. You can go read the docs directly from here itself. You can manage your logs, real-time logs, both for test mode and also for the live mode. So if I click on manage logs, you'll see I can see all my logs. If I want to see any success, only the success logs or only the failure logs, I can do that. Now, these are the logs that have been generated in the test mode. I can just toggle in and see what's been generated in the live mode. Now, back to that. You can manage your webhooks directly within our dashboard instead of like going out of the platform, managing your webhooks. Just enable your webhooks, add in your endpoint, put in your endpoint URL, what events you need to send it to, description, and then like whether it needs to be accounts created or accounts updated, beneficiary created, like based on the event, you can create your own endpoint directly from the dashboard. So these are the details of your primary account. So for any merchant or business who is coming onto the platform, logs in, signs in, and is in the test mode, sees the primary virtual account. This is very specific for the merchant and for the business. They'll see their primary virtual account, bank account number, and IFSC code. For the penny drop, like based on a lot of analysis, we felt like to have a separate verification account which can be used for penny drop facilities. So your primary VA, your merchant's primary VA, business primary VA will not be touched. You just transfer the money, some of the money, to your verification account, which can be used for penny drop facility. Again, there would be two primary VAs, one for your there would be VA ID that's been created, one for your primary VA in the test mode, and then for your live mode also, just so that it can recognize easily. For any accounts that's been created, virtual accounts that's been created via the APIs, via the API that you're using. You can easily see the APIs, easily see the accounts that's been created, name, account number, how it's been used as, when it was created, what transfers have been initiated from that VA, what payments have been made to that particular VA. Or you can just like click on this and see particular VA's details, like, okay, this account was created. You can find the holder's details, name, email, phone number. This is very useful for your support team also. If they want to do a check, or dev team, they want to do a check in terms of any fraud or any issues that's been there. KYC details also you can check out over there. So transfers, payments, beneficiaries, everything is available directly on one single platform, which is dashboard.zist.io. So yeah, if you want to get started, just go to developers.zist.io, explore our APIs. Once you are ready to test out, just sign up on our sandbox, and then you're good. By the way, we are also building a developer community around Zwitch and embedded finance, fintech. If any of your developers want to learn more about the APIs or learn more about this embedded finance as an ecosystem, they can be part of our developer events that we are doing. So we are doing one on 21st of August around cloud and the fintech revolution, where we'll tell you about how the cloud is powering this fintech revolution, how to build fintech applications on cloud that can accept payments, make payments, and then about APG also, how APG is helping in API management. So to know more, just go to this communal.com. The link is there on the developers.zist.io. I'll paste the link in the chat also later on. Or you can join a Slack community as well to stay connected. That's in brief about what Switch is and what we are doing. Yeah, over to you, Sumit.
Great, great. Thank you so much, Siddhant. And it was a pleasure knowing about what Switch is building out. And with that being said, I like wish you all the best for the like building the whole session as well. And I would like to move ahead with our third API showcase. That is with Perfios, and I have Mr. Sandesh out here. Sandesh is the VP New Business Initiatives at Perfios. So over to you, Sandesh. Quickly, I would let you give a brief introduction about Perfios and let us know that how you are revolutionizing the whole like solutions at Perfios using API sandboxes and like a bunch of open APIs.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Sumit, and thanks for the opportunity. Let me actually, the plan was I'll speak a lot about the whole fintech, or rather the API economy and the how the market is evolving and things like that. But given that we're, I think, already reaching the end time and there are only not many people left, so let me actually jump directly to the topic, which is the whole API economy and how we are contributing to the API economy, if I can say so. Just a quick introduction to Perfios. We're a 13-year-old SaaS-based product company, and we have been powering our clients primarily in the BFSI segment, which is primarily banks, NBFCs, and fintechs, and also some of the insurance clients across geographies. And we are helping them transform digitally using some of our state-of-the-art data aggregation, analytics, and API platform. API basically forms the basis of a lot of data being exposed. Of course, data is a new gold. It's already too much of a cliched sentence, but without APIs, I would say data is pretty much useless, because how would you expose your business functionality to people or to businesses that really need this data? And that is why APIs are kind of the backbone for the new age economy. And the previous slide was actually basically reiterating what World Bank essentially said about APIs and how the whole market is moving, and the valuations of companies in this space is going all over the place, literally reaching the moon. So coming directly to the topic, in terms of the APIs that Perfios basically supports. Primarily, I would like to break it into two parts. One is the financial sector related APIs, and the second one is the verification part. Of course, financial sector, in the financial sector related products, there are about 8 different categories. One, starting with the account aggregation APIs. These are essentially all the APIs related to connecting to the new age account aggregation ecosystem of India, which is the open banking ecosystem, which I'm sure most of you in the audience would already know of. And Perfios being one of the account aggregator. But that aside, we do provide the APIs, the financial information provider and the financial information user, and the consent management API, so that financial institutions or the entities that come under the regulator can actually easily consume data using these the account aggregation framework. Now, apart from that, of course, the bank statement fetch APIs, these are kind of the most popular, I would say, in the market, wherein we help companies to aggregate the customer's financial or the bank transaction data using multiple ways. We could help you upload, help you ask your customer to upload a bank statement, which could be a ePDF or a scanned image of a bank statement, or even direct net banking fetch as well. You can ask the customer to enter their net banking credentials, and the information is basically retrieved, processed, and given in a very in a format which is useful for the credit underwriter, because it's not just the raw data, but also the processed data, which includes categorizations, insights. For example, what is the average balance that is maintained, how many check bounces have happened, how much of what is the income, what is the expense that is going out, and all of those very useful, meaty information is what we essentially provide as part of this API. Apart from that, of course, there's income tax return fetch APIs, wherein we help banks and financial institutions get information right from ITR 1 to ITR 6 to acknowledgements, Form 1626 AS. All of these information is provided to the financial institution through our API. So essentially, it's just a couple of APIs that will need to be invoked, and you get a rich source of information about a particular customer for the purpose of, again, credit underwriting or any other uses as well. Next is the salary statement, exactly the same use case, where customer could maybe upload their scanned copy of the salary statement and submit it. We do a lot of cross-checking and validation of these as well. There are different means of doing that, and try to identify if at all there's some possibility of fraud that is happening in this space as well. Similarly, GST fetch and verification, we help banks fetch the GST data through APIs, and again, we also support customers uploading the GST documents. Similarly, for financial statement, I mean, people who have seen a financial statement will understand the complexity here. These are, complex, number-rich documents, like going up to 10, 20, 30 pages. Includes things like the balance sheets, the P&L statements, and etc. And normally these are scanned, so that makes it even worse. So you have a chartered accountant who sees this and puts a stamp on it saying, this is validated. And these audited statements is what is uploaded generally, and we do process them very efficiently as well. A very quick turnaround time is what we promise to all the financial institutions that we serve. Credit card statements as well. We help in a detailed analysis, aggregation, and processing of credit card statements. And of course, if all of these are individual documents, we also provide a single API wherein all of this can be processed in one go. And the advantage there is essentially that we don't not only process each of these documents and give you the digitized format, as well as the insights, but we also cross-validate all of this information across different document types and give you insights on the possibility of fraud that has happened. So we use a lot of different techniques for identifying potential frauds in the application that has come. So this is proving to be really useful for a lot of credit underwriters who are right now grappling with a huge number of frauds that are happening in the space of lending. So this is basically all the APIs. probably quickly show you the platform as well, wherein you can test these APIs and basically go ahead with the development. But yeah, so that is a quick gist of the financial sector APIs. Next is the other verification APIs. So again, when it comes to credit underwriting or loan origination or even customer onboarding, there's a lot of information that needs to be processed, especially in the digital world, to ensure that you minimize the amount of effort that goes in to processing that application from the perspective of verification. Especially, is that is that individual really the person who is saying he is or she is that person really staying in the same place where they are claiming that they are staying? Is this person working in a company where they're saying they're working? Does this application relate to a company that genuinely exists? Does that factory or that organization reside in that same address where they're claiming to be? So a lot of these things are currently done physically, either through a runner going to the factory or the address that has been mentioned, going and checking, inquiring with neighbors and writing it down, and coming back and reporting saying, yes, I validated these addresses, all good. The cost and time is a lot of time and cost is spent in this particular exercise. And that is what we are helping our clients, our customers essentially minimize and save the time and cost by providing these set of APIs, wherein basically I've categorized into 8. These are individual verification using PAN, Aadhaar, driving license, voter's ID, face match, etc. We do provide residential address verification APIs through utility bills and things like that. Company verification authentication, MCA signatory checks, shop and establishment authentication, etc. Company address verifications through the mechanisms that's been mentioned here through the etc. A whole heap of APIs related to legal verification as well. If the company that is come for asking credit, is there any suit filed against them? Is there a case against them in the Supreme Court or any of the smaller tribunals or the IT labor court or the consumer courts and bureaus, etc. So all of this information could be digitized, is available to our customers as API system, a lot digital, and a lot of these use cases, as I was saying earlier, which was time consuming because of, and also cost expensive affair as well, because you had to send people and you had loads of underwriters sitting and verifying documents, is all now minimized because of an API that is available on our stack. Continuing employment verification as well, be it a gig worker who's having an NREGA card, or maybe a professional who is having a, who's a chartered accountant or company secretary or dentist and things like that. All that employment verification also is now possible digitally. Vehicle verifications through RC search and verification. And of course, contact verification. Is the email address that they've provided valid or not, genuine or not? Phone number, is it valid or not? So is the location, so based on the location that they are filling the form, we can derive where they are, and based on that, kind of put some hypothesis on is there an angle to a fraud? So people who have seen maybe Jamtara in Netflix would relate to this, saying certain regions may be more prone to applications coming from certain regions, certain IP, certain locations, maybe more prone comparatively to other locations. And things like that use cases could be built on top of these set of APIs. So that was a quick roundup of the APIs that Perfios provides. Happy to to have a discussion with you in case you have any questions, or you have any if you want to try out our APIs, more than happy to have that discussion and how we can go about doing that. So that's my contacts. You can always reach out to me. You can scan the QR and reach out to me on LinkedIn as well. So yep, that's about the APIs, API platforms. If there are any questions, happy to answer, or as I said, reach out to me anytime. Happy to discuss. Thanks, Sumit.
Great. Thank you so much, Sandesh. Thanks a lot. And with that being said, we would like to conclude today's session. And it was really amazing session today around the whole API economy and how the API has been driving the whole digital transformation in this new age world. And as it is rightly being said that APIs enable companies to be more easily build products and services that would otherwise take too long to build. And that's what players like Perfios, Open, and Signzy have been enabling that for other participants in the market. And with that being said, I would like to thank all the attendees for joining. I would like to once again thank all our partners, Open, Signzy, and Perfios, and all the speakers who spent their amazing evening, Friday evening, out of the busy schedule and shared amazing insights for today. With that, thank you so much. Thanks a lot.